As a creative today, it's important to have a good grasp on all the different aspects of art, and Seph is one of those people who just gets it. He defines himself as a visual artist, among other things, with added emphasis on the visuals. He's been perfecting his brand just for fun for over a year now, so if you want a uniquely creative insight into the mind of an artist in the 21st century, get comfortable and keep watching. Who are you? Where are you from? And can you give me a brief bio on you?
My name is Seph. I'm a visual artist and designer, graphic artist, set designer. Kind of do a little bit of all. Born and raised in Joliet. I bounce around from here, Chicago, but most of the Joliet area.
Mm-hmm. And what does Joliet mean to you as far as growing up and really turning into a creative?
I'd say the most that I've taken out of it is just like the people. There's just like a lot of great people here, a lot of great artists that come from here, and like without those people locally, like I wouldn't be like the person that I am today,
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I get the experience of it all. It's not like one certain thing, but there's been like events and shows here in Joliet, and like most of the local things is the things that you can get a lot out of,
Mm-hmm. And do you kind of cherish those local moments for putting you on that creative path?
Yes, because like end of high school, those like experiences that I started doing and going to shows and this and that, having pop-ups and stuff was like the start of me like expanding my mind and like seeing things so simple for so long, and then seeing things for how big it can be,
Mm-hmm.
Not even just like for me, but like for other people and like their experience from things and what they can grasp,
Yeah, that idea of seeing everything simply and then being open to like the whole roof, like the sky is really the limit.
Yeah,
and then you can even go past the sky. Like I feel you on that. That's something that really puts you in mode where it's like, all right, I could do this too.
Yeah, and then just like I was saying, the experience, and even like when you host a show, you're normally cool with the artist that you do it with, and you're kind of just in that artist realm. But when you like put yourself in the perspective of the people that's coming, you want to give them the best experience, and that's kind of how I feel like with just doing everything that I do, knowing and understanding that their experience is what matters the most,
Moving on a little bit, how would you say your childhood hobbies of reading comics and playing video games play into how you operate as a creative?
I mean, I'd say a big part, just because of the fact that like it's so involving, you involve yourself with it so much in terms of like your mental state, what you can get out of it, the experience you have with it. Like some days you can be playing a game and it's like you lose, or like, what I'm saying, you're not getting to where you want to be, or you're not getting what you want, or whatever, like there's things that you can learn from reading, there's things you can learn from visuals, there's things you can just like learn from everything, and I didn't know it at the time when playing those games and reading those comics, or even whatever I was doing when I was younger. I didn't realize the impact they would have on my life later on, you kind of never realize stuff like that, but it's just been like connecting more than ever on like my thought process now, as I get older, and like tying it back and stuff like that, I like to include and surround myself with those type of things, because that's what like drives my brain, like I don't know, just diving into that question even more, just like the stories and the concepts and the characters and like their relationships with things, or that story that got them to be to that point, and then to get them to that realization, you know what I'm saying? You can like, you as a person, I feel like, I mean, this is just goes with reading and everything, you want to relate to it as much as you can, or you fall towards the things you relate to, like how they feel and stuff like that. So it's like understanding that and then putting that in my own, and doing that in my own way with the things that I create, it's kind of, it all kind of flows together in its own way,
This next question I got, we're moving on to a little bit of the present things. You've been putting in work with J4F as far as builds and drops go. Could you tell me a little bit about what J4F is and how it got started?
The overall idea of J4F, like it's still the same concept as it was like 3 years ago when I came up with it, but like it's definitely, expanded as all things do, just in terms of like my thoughts behind it. But it's essentially just me expressing what I want to do or put out or release or make, basically like just for fun, like, you know, like it's literally just as simple as that. So it's like a median for all the different art forms that I create and put out and like my thought process, but like it's also like it's become like a brand company like in these past couple months, that it's like, it's not that I didn't take it serious before, but it's like there's certain aspects that I need to think about it prospectively, you know what I'm saying, for it to like make sense. And that's just like what I've been like really going deep into, and you know what I'm saying, figuring out like we were talking about. So
this next question I got: as you curate new ideas and designs and collections, what's the one thing that you want to put the most thought into? Is it going to be like the visuals, the colors, how the story is told?
I don't know, I could say a lot of answers, but I would honestly say it would probably just be the story. And like that's usually like the one thing that depends on who's viewing it, but that's usually the one thing that kind of goes over people's heads, you know. Like you obviously have to find your fan base, and then when you get that fan base, then that's all that's strictly looking at you, and then they can appreciate it. But I would say just like the story overall, on how certain things tie together within that story, you know. It's not necessarily like like a story I'm telling you're supposed to get something out of it, but it's more along the lines of like, this connects to this and this connects to this, and this is the way that it is because this is this way, you know. Stuff like that, you know. That's kind of just how my mind works, and that's kind of just like what I like to create, you know. Like I fit that in with like the set design stuff that I do, even if it doesn't connect to the artist and the song, there's like visuals that I have that connect this to this, and the reasoning I did that was because of that, you know. Like there's a lot of thought that goes into things. So I would say the story and the visuals, because the visuals are the most, like, I would say it's more important than the story, because then if you capture the visuals and people are like zoned in, then they could pay attention to the story a little like the easier. Visuals help tell the story better. You know, yeah. So I would say those are hand in hand, but the story and the thought process behind it is a lot more deeper than the visuals. You know what I'm saying?
As far as like telling a story, do you kind of want one overarching story for all of your creations, or are you just gonna, you know, keep creating whatever comes to mind, and if it goes into the story, it does. If not, it doesn't.
I feel like it all just depends, you know. Like I'm working on this big story now, and like the little things that I do, side projects, or like little things that I release, like I try and keep it in story, you know. Like like there's a t-shirt that I'm dropping, which is like promo merchandise for this club that exists in this world that I'm creating. And so it's like there's many steps to that, understanding where this shirt design comes from, but at the end of the day, it can just be as simple as a shirt that you're buying, you know. So it's, most of the things that I do involve that, but there are ideas that I have that like clothing ideas or poster ideas that like story ideas that don't tie into the actual story. So when I get to the point where I'm able to express everything in like a manner of like it making sense for it to all be different, then it will be, you know. Like I'll be working on this collection. I mean, that's kind of why I release collections, you know, because like one collection isn't similar or tie into the other collection, you know. Like collection 0.5 is way different than collection 1 is, and collection 1 is a completely different idea and concept than it is from collection 2, you know. Like each collection has their own meaning and definition, and that's more of like the things that I go through in life and expressing that. Like collection 1 was like, be the hero of your own story, be the hero of your own journey, however you want to take those words. You can use those words and do whatever you want with them, you know, as you're supposed to. But it's more along the lines of just like, no one's coming to save you and you got to do it yourself. That was kind of the overall idea that I had behind it, you know. But also it's just like, you're able to be the one to pick yourself up, you know. Like you're supposed to look in the mirror, you're supposed to be able to talk to yourself about stuff like that, you know. Be real and genuine with who you are. That was kind of the concept of collection 1, you know, and then this next one is completely different. So I would say it just depends on like my headspace and even just what I want to work on. You know what I'm saying?
This next question I got for you: as you continue to explore more creative endeavors and avenues, what's the one message that you hope to bring with you wherever you end up?
I would say just not losing sight of like why you want to do things. Also, you know, why you want to do things, what you're doing it for. And I'm not saying everyone has to live by doing things just for fun, this and that. You know, life can be very serious at some points. but it's just more of like a friendly, uplifting perspective, you know, like being genuine, being genuine and doing whatever the hell you want is kind of just as simple. It's as simple as that, because that's how I do it and that's how I perceive it. And like, I feel like not enough people think that way, or like we're kind of trained to also not think that way, like it kind of just depends on your upbringing. But like, I feel like even what you see is like, I don't know, they make it seem very difficult sometimes for certain things like that, even though it seems so easy, and like your feed is usually looked at by like mutual people and this and that. It kind of just what you're surrounded by, but the majority is just like some people just feel like they can't do things, and maybe they can't, but it doesn't hurt to just try and just do things, that's how you learn if you can do things or not, So it's kind of just as simple as that.
Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about that I didn't touch on?
I mean, no, not really. Just in terms, I guess, on like what I got coming up, I've been plotting for a while, and things are just feeling like more genuine than ever, releasing things and doing things and making things. So just new content, new visuals, new clothing, new art, lots of perspectives, lots of stories. And yeah, for the people, just stay genuine, be yourself, and don't give a fuck what people gotta say, because it's just, like, it's your world. I like to put myself in my own little world, people should too. I take off just like a missile, you can't catch me, you can't hang.